So welcome everybody and thank you for joining us. My name is Kate Remillard. I'm on the marketing team at VHT Studios and Matterport and your co-host today for Lunch with Lucy. We have a very special guest today, but before we get started, just want to remind you that we welcome your questions. As Lucy just said, please add them to the Q&A box on your screen. We'll have time at the end at the show to get to as many questions as possible. You'll also see a few poll questions pop up on your screen as we go, so please participate in those. We want to share those results live as we go. And then also be sure to stick around to the very end because we will announce the 5 winners of our $25 DoorDash gift cards at the end of the show. So one more thing, please be sure to subscribe to Lucy's YouTube page to keep up to date with all of the amazing content she creates, including the archive of Lunch with Lucy's and many great interviews with industry experts. She is everywhere all the time interviewing people, and it's great content, so check that out. So now I'm just happy to introduce our host, Lucy Edwards.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lunch with Lucy. Really appreciate you joining us today, and we have a very special guest, Dawn McKenna. And Dawn McKenna has her own team. She is with Coldwell Banker in Chicagoland. So hello, and it's going to be a fun talk show because we have really cool news to share with you. So, and again, please ask questions. And I'm going to start with my question. How are you, Dawn?
I am great. I'm sorry that I am pulled over. In our business, you have to learn the art of pivoting. And I was supposed to move into my new house in Naples and it isn't ready. So my husband and I jumped in the car and we came to Boca Raton to see my son play baseball because we didn't know he had his first scrimmage game. Because like a good old boy, he didn't tell us. So I am literally parked in a parking lot right now to talk to you. So I got no place I'd rather be. It's fine. It's good.
Well, listen, to be a realtor, you have to be flexible. And like you said, you have to pivot and you have to adjust and make it work. So,
yes.
Yeah. And you just came back from an amazing, I understand, networking event with CB Blue, and you learned so much there. Maybe at the end of the show, we can just mention a few bullet points that you took away. I love networking events because you always learn something new. You always meet new people, and that's what real estate is all about. Is about networking and learning and play well in a sandbox. One big sandbox. Well, this year you have your 20th anniversary in real estate as your real estate career. That is amazing because you have an amazing team. You have great colleagues that you work with. My question to you would be, when you think back to that time when you just entered the real estate landscape, could you even imagine where your business would be and how you would grow? So let's go back 20 years and share your experience with us.
Sure. Okay, well, I'll start out by saying I married my high school sweetheart, and we're coming up on almost 34 years of marriage. I have 4 kids that range from 30 down to 22. And when I started this job, before I started this job, I was a decorator, not a designer. I wasn't licensed. I just always loved fashion and design, and I just have a really good eye. So I would, like, friends and colleagues would pay me to like do their kids' room or do their kitchen or whatever. And my contribution to my family income was like very, very slight. I could probably buy a handbag at the end of the year. So one day, I wanted to buy this couch. And when I was in design, I really got into the Mard and Holly Hunt and Rose Tarlow and all these really cool brands. And we bought this house, and my husband said, hey, we got to do one room at a time. We can't afford this whole reskinning of the house. And there was this couch that I wanted to buy, and it was $22,000, which is ridiculous. Like today, now that I can afford it, I probably wouldn't spend $22,000 on a couch. But at the time, I was really into all that stuff. So I thought, if I get my license and I sell one house for $1 million, 2.5% of a million is 25 grand. I could buy my couch. So I went in 2003 in May, and my husband stayed home from work. He's a lawyer for a week, and I went and got my license. So I did that crash course from Monday through Friday. I ate Taco Bell every day. I was in the pajamas, like literally the same clothes from Monday through Friday. I was a psycho, because for those of you that were something else and then had to go take a test, it was unnerving. I was counting on my hands. I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, net gross. You know, you think you've got it until you don't. And I got my license on a Monday. And I remember coming home Friday because I passed my test, and my kids had like Spider-Man on the door, and they had a cake for me. And it was kind of cool, I have to say, because old school wise, for most men, their kids haven't really seen them build unless they had a pivot change or a job change. I started at the time where I raised my kids in Hinsdale. Most of the women didn't work outside of the home. They might have had part-time jobs, and some women work, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the majority of people my age did not. And it was a really interesting start because it really influenced my kids, and they had so much influence on me. So I would tell you straight up, I got a lot of business from my kids. So that's a whole network in and of itself. But basically what happened was I wanted to buy a couch. I walked into Coldwell Banker because, and I need to talk to you guys about this, because in our world, it's very competitive. And I kind of came up with a new word. I have no idea if it's in a dictionary or not. It's called co-opetition. And I think so many of us are paper covers, and it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. It could be a mutually beneficial situation. And at the end of the day, I'm all about collaborating, and imitation is the best form of flattery. My story is not your story. So when I got my license, I called the agent that I had been using for years. And I should tell you that I bought several houses from this agent, and I would do a number on them and flip them. So I knew a lot of people in her industry. And I called her up. I didn't have a babysitter. And she's still in business today. And I like her, but I just don't think she handled it right. I called her up and I said, listen, I will help you. I will get you buyers. I will turn on your lights. I don't have a babysitter, but I will, like, I'm in it to win it. I will do this. And she said, and I quote, lots of luck to you, and hung up on me. Okay. Biggest mistake of her life. Everybody knows that. But that Sunday, my kids went to the Catholic school down the street at the time, and we were coming out of mass. And this woman from Coldwell Banker that was a friend of the friend said, hey, I heard you got your license. You're going to be amazing. Why don't you come to Coldwell Banker? And I was kind of like, Coldwell Banker? Like, to be honest, like where I was in Hinsdale, which was a pretty affluent suburb of Chicago, like Coldwell Banker, like people wore name tags. It wasn't deluxe. It wasn't luxury. It wasn't seen as that kind of brand. Boutique firms were all the rage. And it was interesting because I got in the car, and my husband's a really smart guy, and he's been a CEO of companies, and he's scaled, and he's done a lot of really cool things, and he's just a smart guy. And I got in the car, and I'm like, what do you think of the Coldwell Banker thing? I'm not even taking this that seriously. Like, if I sell a house or two, who cares? And he goes, well, if you take it seriously, you know, this was in 2003. Okay. So he said, you know, everyone's going to be about exposure. I mean, no one knows what the hell like ABC Banana Real Estate Company is in Texas. You see what I mean? He said, like it or not, like the Coldwell Banker name, like it's synonymous with real estate. Anybody that says Coldwell Banker, most people know it's real estate. I'm like, oh, all right, well, whatever. So I walked in there with all four of my kids, and the managing broker probably thought I was an actual crackpot, because I was like, listen, I want to buy this couch. I'm not taking this that seriously. How much is it going to cost me? And I'll never forget, it was like $3,200 to join. I was like, shit. Like, now I got to make $22,000 plus the $3,200 to cover my expenses. It's kind of funny. But at any rate, so what happened is I signed up with Coldwell Banker, and the next day, a friend of mine was having a very, very bad personal trouble, and she lived in one of the nicest houses in town. And I need to say, I would consider her a friend, more than an acquaintance, but she wasn't a close friend. This is someone that we would just like, when we'd see each other at a baseball game or a party, we would like, catch up. We worked out a couple times. This wasn't like a close, dear friend. She called me up and she said, listen, I like your style. I trust you. I like that you're into family. I like that you have a good reputation. There's something about you. I know you don't know what you don't know, but I need somebody that's an advisor, that's got my back, that will be discreet, that I trust. And I love your eye on my house to help me stage it and get it all ready to go. Well, that house was $4.8 million. And what I did, yeah, that was $4.8 million. It was one of the nicest houses in Hinsdale at the time. And what I want to tell you guys is one of the things that I did to really build my career, and I didn't even realize it, was if I didn't do this job, I'd be an event planner. I just love having parties and setting the stage, and my listings are all lit up, the music's on, there's always something to drink and something to eat, and a friendly face at the front door welcoming you and trying to disarm you and put you at ease and create an experience and make it how do I say, like, when you leave anything that I do, I want you to feel better than when you came there. And that's my philosophy. Like, that's one of the foundations of the Dawn McKenna Group. And I did that. So, like, I was the first person to put a big ad in the newspaper, but I didn't put the outside of the house. I said, guess what's coming on the market? And it was a picture of the inside. Mm-hmm. And I invited everybody in town, but they had to call me. If you wanted to go to this, you had to call me, because that's how I, vetted.
That's probably how you built your network, right? Because your network is not just with your brand, it's with all your colleagues around from all brands.
Right. So I'll never forget. I mean, it's a lot of work. I staged that whole house myself. I was on ladders painting it for her. It was a very, very sensitive thing that she was going through. It was very public. But I had no idea like how much money I was making off that. I just wanted to do something great for her. And oh, by the way, I'd make some money. So when I opened the door that day, and there was a line down like 3 blocks down waiting to get in.
Wow. And this is 2003, right, Dawn? It's 2003 you're talking about?
Yes. And I created an experience, and I had one of my kids played the violin for a while. So I had like a concert violinist there. And then I made all these, oh my God, it was so crazy. I was like in the charcuterie phase, and I had this huge board, and I made like the first charcuterie board in 2003, not in the world, but I'm saying in I didn't even know what it was, a charcuterie board, but I wanted a gathering spot. So anyway, I wound up double siding that day. So my first week in real estate, I sold $9 million in listings. And
well,
so
that is a fabulous story. But I would like to add to that. So Dawn, basically you had your family as a team. So your family was so supportive. Your kids were there. Your husband is supportive. So I would like to go to my next question. What about team? Like you built, you have a team right now, and everyone has their responsibilities. They're kind of cross-trained. What would you recommend? And Kate, let's put that poll up. What would you recommend to someone? Like, would you start the team? Would you start it right away? Would you start on someone else's team? Open your own? And Kate, let's do the poll. What would you say, Dawn?
I would say this, you guys. You have to understand, when you're starting a team, you need to be their coach. You need to be a mentor. You need to be an analysis, like an analytics diva. You need to be in accounting. You need to be in marketing. You need to understand scale. If none of that sounds good to you, don't build a team. But perhaps if that doesn't sound good, maybe somebody that's in your office or in another office that you respect, that you are highly regarded, maybe you consider joining their team, because what I will tell you is one thing I did that a lot of realtors don't do is I spend a lot of money. I think the real estate in general, realtors are cheap and they don't want to spend unless they know they're going to get it back. And I really believe that I really believe that it was the single thing I did that catapulted me. And write this down. I don't have a computer, you guys. I do everything on my phone, everything. And I did this because I never put my own listing in. I never signed my own contract. I didn't do any of that. I hired an assistant the day I was getting that listing, not after it was sold. The day I got that listing, that week, there was a woman in my office and she said, listen, I'm older. I have no interest in my name and lights, but I like to help people. I'm like, what do you need? And she's like, well, I don't want to screw up my Medicare, so I need $35,000. This was back in 2003. I knew I was getting this listing, so I was like, you're hired. She's still with me today. She's 85.
Wow. Well, congratulations. So that's the team you're looking for. You're looking for someone who is loyal, that the chemistry is on the same page. And let's look at the polls very quickly. So yeah, look how 25% of our audience have the team, currently part of the team or have their own team, build their own team, 24%. No, but would like to join the team. I think it is important when you join, my opinion, when you join the team, you look at the brand and you look at the brand of the team. So you are like, just like in sports, right, Dawn?
Exactly. And you bring up sports. Almost every person on my team was a Division I athlete. And now we have an Olympian in Park City. We opened there November 6th. My kids all play college sports. So in my head, I thought, okay, I'm going to have the investment banking approach to this. If you're a Division I athlete, graduated on time, and got good grades, you could handle real estate. It's a humbling experience. You have to be disciplined. You have to stick your neck out. You have to not be worried about being embarrassed, but you have to know when to lead, know when to follow, and know when to just all join hands and go together. I think I will tell you, I have a director of sales, I have director of operations, and I have my own creative director. I have 2 social media strategists, and I have a chief of staff. There are 6 people on major salaries. Oh, and I have a development guru. She's on salary as well, but she's only handled development. She understands capital stack and all that. So,
well, that brings me, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to go through the questions and we only have like 8 minutes left.
okay.
What about technology? You are a major part of some exciting new technology coming out for agents and their clients. What can you share with us about that app, the Luxury Presence Copilot app?
Okay, so I developed my own app for my own team to create a competitive advantage. Okay, I wanted to be able to get stats right away, help like manage my CRM. I wanted to be able to internally talk and internally share pocket listings and private information. And I wanted to create an amazing client experience all in a one-stop shop. There's just way too many, this app, that app. I'm not that great technologically. So I, for 2 years, built this app. And what I did was, when it was done, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This could really change the way our industry does business. So I showed Multi Kramer, who is my web developer and many of yours. He owns Luxury Presence. They're backed by Bessemer. They're backed by the guy that owned and started Zillow. He's a Stanford guy, and he's got all these guys like MIT, Stanford, quants doing all the things for this app. I sold it to him because he was the first and only guy that I knew that could have all the AIPs for all the MLSs all over the nation, all to come on. So AI is big, you guys. It is the fastest growing thing since the internet. I mean, back when in the internet days, you guys, I remember my husband's company was like, we have an internet group. Now we have AI group. Everyone is doing AI and it's going so fast. So on the app, you're going to be able to like say, go to Lucy, say Lucy's your client, and you'll say, okay, you know, Lucy Smith and her husband want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They have 7 cars, so they need a 4-car garage, space for 7, blah, blah, blah. And it all, you just press a button, you voice activate it, and the AI kind of computes and goes into your contacts. So you're not constantly doing all that stuff. It's also going to be geotagged where, like, right now I'm in front of this. If I pulled the app up, it would show me everything here that's for sale, that just sold, or that's under contract, and what the price is. Then you press the button or you talk to it and says, what are the taxes? What are the lot size? How many, does it have attached garage, detached garage? Does it face south? Everything is very much on this app. It's called Copilot. And I remember I said the single thing I did that I think was different than everybody else is I got an assistant before I got a babysitter. That's why we called it Copilot, because it's going to be like an assistant. You're going to have stats at your fingertips anytime. It's going to empower the agent, but it's also an amazing communication tool for you, your assistant, your team, and your clients.
And it's not just for your brand. Anyone can actually join or acquire that app and use it, right? It's for everybody.
Yes, it's for everybody. And what people are going to do is the ones that want to spend the more money are going to private label them. So none of this is going to say Dawn McKenna. It's Copilot. There's brokerages that we're talking to about like the enterprise value of it, and like they'll buy it and then they'll charge their agents, you know, I don't know, $10, $20 a month for it. Or big teams and big like luxury people, they want their own branding all over it. So it'll be a whole branding and it'll be on the App Store under their name.
That is cool. Well, let's see what the results we have for our what do you use app for. I would love to. Oh, CRM, look at it. 63% of you guys using CRM. Very impressive. And then 52 is marketing, lead generation, 44, open houses, 31, productivity, 38, and then other 17. Very impressive. Very impressive. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think it's absolutely amazing. And I just would like to also ask you, Dawn, what about like when you have your app? So that's the CRM is also included. Everything is there, the same marketing and lead generation. All that is part of your app. And is it hard to navigate or is it easy?
No, no, that's a great question, Lucy. I'm 55 next week.
Well,
I
you
told
look good.
you guys. Thank you. I'm not a technophile. So this needed to be quick and intuitive. And remember, I don't own a computer. I do everything by phone. So it's got to be good enough for my young assistant to handle, but intuitive enough for me to handle. And it took 2 years to do it, but we did it.
And I also would like to ask you, because I met with some members from your team, the way you have your open houses, sometimes you have it, you invite local artists, you cater amazing food and champagne. So you just really go out of your way. And then some members of your team, for example, they're involved in golf, like in Naples. And then they have open houses and they invite their golf buddies and it's golf related open house. So you are creative with all your open houses, or is it just a certain price point?
That's interesting. No, it's not a certain price point. Like we tried to have whether it's the city, the North Shore, Hinsdale, Naples, Lake Geneva, New Buffalo, and now Park City. I tried to get each team member to do something event focused once a month. And sometimes it's with designers, and sometimes it's wealth managers, and sometimes it's with event planners, and sometimes it's with wedding planners. And it's supporting locally, but it's getting more eyeballs and more interest on our houses. And it's been working beautifully. It's expensive and it takes a lot of work, but it really, the ROI on it, it's off the charts.
That was my next question. So you feel like the return on investment is really there, and your efforts are paying. And plus, you promote your brand, you support your local economy, you support your local community. So I think that is also part of your strategy, right?
Yes, I want mutual beneficiality. And I also like work with a lot of realtors, like whether they're with Coldwell Banker or not, who cares? Like, I'm like, oh God, let's do this thing together. And I usually do a lot of the work. It's totally fine. I have a lot of people. We can work through it. It's collaborative.
Yeah, and just two takeaways that, and then we have to wrap up, that you took away from the networking event. What is it about? Education, about focus, about being on schedule?
Okay, there's so much, you guys. Okay, I would say number one, have emotional intelligence. Do the homework on your buyer or seller. Forewarn them, Google them, all those things so that you can have good talking points. So many times something happened. There was a very famous person that came to talk on stage. And I think it was a real miss because they didn't do their homework and it was obvious. So I would say that. I would say you don't just go into something. I think it's really, really beneficial. I really appreciate it when someone's like, oh, don't worry, Dawn, you don't have to introduce yourself to me. I looked you up. I know you're, opening in Park City. I know, I mean, it's kind of nice. It says, gosh, you are important to me and I care enough and I took the time to look up you. So I think that's a huge thing. Takeaway. I can't imagine. You can't believe how many realtors just go with it and then meet these people and they have no idea who the hell they're meeting. The other thing I would say is I think we're going to come up with a lot of pushback on commissions. And it was really interesting. Somebody was talking about what they do. This was kind of a fun line. Someone was saying, well, what's really working for me is someone said, okay, what's your commission? And they said, okay, it's whatever, 5%. And they were like, 5%? I thought I was going to do, 3% for the whole enchilada. And the person is getting away with this. I thought it was pretty interesting. She said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were having a hardship. Oh my God. I thought it was classic. I'm like, oh my God. But what I meant by that is, no, I'm not going to incorporate that in my new marketing plan or a CMA. But an interesting thing to disarm someone, to say, hey, I say all the time to for sale by owners that call me, I'm like, listen, it's not great. You either look cheap or you look broke. Either way, it's not good. Like, I've said things like that to disarm people that they might not thought about how they were perceived. I guess that's a couple takeaways.
And Dawn, how can people find you?
Okay, you can follow us on the Dawn McKenna Group. DM me anytime. I'll get back to you and I'll follow you back. I think that's a great way. I think Dawn at dawnmckennagroup.com is my email, but the best way is Instagram because that's quick and we need quick in this world. And like I said,
I love Instagram. I agree with you. Yeah. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Lucy, Lucy Edwards, VHT. Looking forward to sharing my videos. I just came back from Dallas. They are coming up. Very cool videos, interesting points. And Dawn, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
What a success story you have,
Thank you.
Yeah, 4 children walking into the office with all your kids. Please
it's
hire
wild.
me.
It's wild. It's super inspiring. Thank you so much, Dawn. And honestly, and for joining us from your car, this was amazing.
Thank you.
I feel like this 30 minutes went by so quickly. We could spend another hour easily. One more announcement before we call it a day. We have our show coming up next month with our special guest, Thad Wong, the co-founder and co-CEO of At Properties Christie's International Real Estate. So that's going to be an awesome show. It'll be a lot about personal branding and aligning with your company's brand. So look out for those invites and we'll see you next month. Dawn, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
Enjoy Florida, Dawn. The weather's great there.
It is. Come to Naples. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.